So what says summer to you? I'll show you what says summer to me when we come back. Don't go away. Hello friends and welcome to Fat Guy Productions. I am Paul, coming to you as always from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. So, what says summer? I guess a lot of things, like a cool swimming pool or a barbecue, a big slice of watermelon. But for me, here in the hot Las Vegas desert, nothing says summer better than a tall, cold glass of lemonade. Let's get building. For the June 3 Blind Mice build, we'll be doing the Hot Wheels Dodge A100 van. This casting is actually what gave me the idea for last week's Mega Build 3. I'll put a link on the screen here in case you want to check out that build. Anyhow, this will be my second Dodge van in as many weeks, and for this one, I'm going to try and capture summer by building my version of what would be the first hot rod for many a boy growing up in the 70s, the Schwinn Lemon Peeler. I'll get this casting apart using my shielded drilling. This casting has the perfect dimple for it, and it will allow me to easily drill dead center. With my small flat-headed screwdriver, I'll pry the base away from the bottom so I can get to the component parts of this Hot Wheel. I'm faced with a dilemma here. The base is fitted with a great set of real riders and it has a very cool stance. So I'm going to go against my instincts here to bring a cookie to the build and just keep this one simple. I'm going to keep these wheels and I'm going to keep this stance. That means, to impress you guys, I'm going to have to do it all with a simple cosmetic change. I've finally gotten better at remembering to drill and tap the posts prior to painting. I've become a big fan of tapping the posts since getting my hands on one of Bright Vision's simple, small tap handles. Once tapped, I'll put a screw in the post just to keep it clean. Stripping this casting, as any of this month's builders will tell you, was just a comedy of failures. I tried citrus strip, caustic soda, more stripper, wire brushes, and picks, and I'm not going to show you any of it because there's nothing but a bunch of cursing going on. Anyhow, this paint was ironclad. I finally did get it off, and now I can focus on my paint job. George Hodges is always doing these stunning paint jobs, so I thought I'd try and give him a run for his money with mine this month. I have to be totally honest here, I'm not feeling really great about this build. I sort of feel like it isn't enough. There's no wheel swap and no crazy mods. but it really is too late in the game for me to change my plans, so there's nothing for it but to forge ahead. I begin by applying a coat of Tamiya Fine Primer and then let that dry completely. Once dry, I can start putting on a special yellow paint job I have in mind. I'm going to start with Kerekes Airbrush Colors Opaque Yellow to give the casting a nice bright yellow base. I'm going to call this layer the Hot Rod layer. I actually landed on this color and this build simply by choosing a color that I hadn't worked with a lot. And this yellow is awesome. But if I'm going to compete with George, it just isn't enough. After the first layer dries, I'll turn to some Kerekes Auto Air Colors Gold Plating, and I'll give the body a nice misting of that in what I'm going to call the peeler layer. It would be super easy to overdo this. I'm not making a gold van. I'm making a yellow van. I'm just trying to get some gold sparkles to it. So I have to go very, very light here. Now I'll finish off the paint with what I'm going to call the lemon layer. It's going to be a layer of Candy 2O Lemon Yellow from Kerekes. Together, these layers of paint should combine to give me the ultimate summer fun lemon peeler paint job that I'm going to need here. At the end of the day, you might be able to say a lot of things about this build, but one thing is for sure. It is vibrant, and nobody's going to be able to deny that. So while that paint job dries, I'll turn to my Alps 5000 and I'll print out some decals for this build. Now I know you really can't see anything here, but trust me, they're there. They're just in white. Here I am putting on a protective coating over the new decals. Now these decals don't really need this if you handle them carefully, but I like to be cautious and don't want to take a chance of ruining my decals. Once the protective coating is dry, I can start applying the decals just like any other water slide decal. I took the name Lemon Peeler from the chain guard of the popular bike, and I made the side stripes from the design found on the banana seat. I'll add a couple of race decals to add a bit more of a hot rod feel, and when done, I can sit back and admire the results. The final touch here is clear coat. You all know by now that I am addicted to clear coat, and I freely admit it. I just know that it's really going to make this paint job pop, and it will serve to seal and protect the decals. I'm using clear coat from the Redline shop, and you can find a link in the description below. I dipped the windshield in gauzy earlier and put it in my onion saver to dry, so at this point I really am closing in on it. The van came with a garish red interior that has to go. I'll paint the majority of it flat black using Tamiya XF1 flat black acrylic paint, but I'm going to leave the cab area alone so that I can come back and paint it with a nice white paint job to match the theme of my build. And now it's time to paint in some details. I'll start by painting in the grille with a little flat black paint, and then I'll break out the Molotow chrome to go around the van and paint all the handles. After all that's dry, I can paint in the taillights and front markers, and then I can finally start putting this one together. This build is just missing something, and honestly, I'm really hating its simplicity. So at this point, I talked with my wife Reggie about it, and she said it needed something lemonade. So we both decided that it would be a cool idea if I could make a small lemonade stand. I'm using some thin bass wood and cutting strips which I'll glue together with some wood glue to make the small stand. I took a tiny bit of clear sprue from a model kit, filed a slight bevel into it, and then I painted the bottom half clear yellow to make it look like a glass of lemonade. With this added touch, I do feel a little bit better about the build and can now start the final assembly with a little bit less dread. I can tell you this, I will never, ever do the same casting in back-to-back builds like this ever again. I'll drop the glass and then the interior back into the body. Then I can lay the base back in place, and I can close it all up with a small button head screw. I honestly have to say, once this all came together, my misgivings and dread all slipped away, and I'm actually happy with this summer sun feel of this build. So with no more ado, here is my A100 van for the Three Blind Mice June Invitational. I hope you love it. Well, there she is. I have to say that once it all came together, my misgivings and the dread all slipped away, and I was left with nothing but the happy summer sun, a cold drink, and I'm finally feeling good about things. I hope you love my Three Blind Mice A100 build. Friends, I have to be honest, I wasn't just blowing smoke. I really hated this build right up to the moment I finally got it all together. Once there, I was pleasantly surprised to find that the build made me actually very happy. If you like this video, please give it a giant thumbs up, click subscribe, and of course, click the bell to be notified anytime I release a new video. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this build. Alright, despite the struggles we're all facing, I hope you can take a moment to smile in the sun and enjoy a happy moment and a nice cold glass of lemonade. Till next time, This is Paul from Fat Guy Productions saying be good.